Good morning, everyone. My name is Adam Livingston, and I am the Bitcoin Wizard. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can retire much earlier using strategies Strd and Strc. Because of the crazy yields that these things pay, well, you can compress your working career into a much shorter time horizon. And speaking of Horizon, thank you to Horizon for sponsoring this video. If you guys didn't know, Horizon helps you buy Bitcoin using the home equity that you already have. There's no debt, there's no monthly payments, and there's no term limits. So the Bitcoin is fully yours to custody however you want with no risk of forced liquidation. They are linked down below in the description. I will talk more about them at the end of the video. So if you're asking what Strd and Strc are, well, they are two of Strategy's preferred stock instruments. They condense decades of cubicle life into a handful of dividend paychecks. Strd drops double-digit cash every single quarter, and Strc hums along monthly like a Bitcoin-backed money market on steroids. And together, they punch a wormhole through the traditional 4% withdrawal rule that is based on the Trinity study. If you don't know what the Trinity study is, well, look it up. Essentially, it was a study done to find out what is the safe withdrawal rate. How big do your withdrawals from your nest egg have to be to retire without ever touching the principal of your nest egg? Eventually, this 4% rule became very popular in the financial independent retire early community. Another way to conceptualize it, if you think of how much you spend on an annual basis, how much your expenses are every single year that you live on Earth, you multiply that by 25 times. You take your annual living expenses times 25. That is the number that you need to retire if you withdraw 4% per year. But here's the thing. Nobody wants to work that long, okay? And thank God for Bitcoin because it enables us to retire a lot earlier. And so today's mission is very simple. Using these Bitcoin-backed preferred instruments, I am going to map the mechanics, weigh the risks, and show you how these instruments can hand you back the scarcest asset on Earth, which is your hours, so that you can swap the spreadsheets for sunsets while the rest of Wall Street is still arguing about gold and bond yields. Buckle up because retirement is getting fast-tracked. Let's ground our excitement in hard numbers. Today is October 23rd. You're going to be watching this on the 24th, most likely, so, there might be some differences. However, this is the snapshot as of filming. As of now, Strd is trading at $79.10 on a $100 par value. So think about that. You are buying $1 of claim on Strategy's Bitcoin-rich balance sheet for just 79 cents. So that discount catapults the cash return to an effective 12.64%. Yes, the coupon is a flat 10%, but the market is gift wrapping you an extra 260 basis points because the price is on sale. The volatility, a manageable 19%, barely half the turbulence of the S&P this year, and with only a 7% correlation to Bitcoin. So in plain English, Strd is a very high-yielding cash flow cannon that refuses to get whiplashed every time that Satoshi's creation sneezes. If you slide your eyes to the right here, you see Strc at $98.38, which is hugging close to the $99 to $101 price band that they want it to be at. Now, the board actively adjusts the dividend that is paid out monthly on Strc. Right now, it is 10.25%, but if they want it above $99, they will adjust it on a monthly basis. They might make it 10.5. They might make it 11, whatever they have to do to drive the value up. And because it's designed to sit in the $99 to $101 range, well, they have mechanisms to keep it below the $101, such as selling more of it to buy Bitcoin. Amazing. So Strc pays you slightly less, but it acts like a fortified money market or savings account on Bitcoin rails, which is very ideal for investors who want a high yield with price stability and monthly cash flow. Strc is incredible. Lock all of these numbers in your mind because they frame every single portfolio mix decision that I will model in the next slides. The choice is not between risk and safety. It is between how quickly that you want to exit the cubicle and how calmly you want to sleep while collecting your paychecks. Before we race to early retirement, though, one quick caveat on Stride: it is the junior preferred in the capital stack, and it pays a very high yield. So what is the trade-off? Well, it's very simple. If the board skips a payout of Stride, it never comes back. They have that caveat. They can skip paying out the dividend. This might scare some people off, but the fact of the matter is that Strategy's balance sheet covers 108 years of dividend payments. Strategy is, in my opinion, the most financially strong company on planet Earth. I have no doubt that they'll probably be paying Stride dividends forever as far as I'm concerned. You kind of need to be a Bitcoin bull to understand that. If you're not, you probably shouldn't be involved in this trade at all. But think worst case scenario, if Strategy really decided to not pay out a dividend from Stride, just go back on your cash buffer, keep an emergency fund, no big deal. So Stride is behaving like the high octane income rocket, and Stretch is behaving like the low volatility money market replacement. So any allocation that you make between these two, or even Strife as well as Strike, really it is a dial between speed and stability. You really get to find your own mix with all of these things. Here is the slide where the math finally steps into focus. This orange bar on the left here is your annual spend. This green bar represents the classic 4% withdrawal rule. The more regular green bar is Stride, sitting here at paying 12.64%, and then the blue bar is Stretch, paying slightly over 10. These represent the capital required if you funnel savings into Stride or Stretch at today's yields versus putting it into something paying 4%. So what we're looking at here is how much you need to cover different annual spending levels. So if you look at the Stride bars here, you will notice that they are roughly 1/3 the length of the classic 4% rule. Isn't it amazing? 12 divided by 4 equals 3. The math is nuts. So what does that mean, you might ask? Well, that means that 50 grand of lifestyle needs only $396,000 in capital and not a 7-figure mountain. That difference is the distance between retiring while your kids still think you are cool and retiring when they are asking you to babysit the grandkids. Even if you look to Stretch, the yield is lower because the price is sitting closer to par, yet the capital requirement shrinks to about 2.6 versus the vanilla 4% rule. For many investors, that trade-off feels like swapping a sports car for a luxury SUV, a smoother ride while overtaking traffic. I really want you guys to focus on the headline at the bottom here. Stride chops the capital hurdle by roughly 3.2 times, Stretch by about 2.6 compared to the vanilla 4% formula. If you translate that into years of work, you can start to see why these preferreds are time machines. Less money needed, fewer years chained to a paycheck. Faster arrival at the beach chair with a laptop lifestyle. That is the power of moving from defensive asset accumulation to offensive cash flow generation. All of it made possible by Bitcoin. It is a beautiful thing. This is the fast track playbook, a 6-step GPS that turns lofty theory into a very concrete timeline. Step 1, go map your expenses. That's right, the Bitcoin wizard is Dave Ramsey today, you little goblins. Write down your core annual spending right now. Go into your banking app, figure it out. I'm not going to do your homework for you. You can do this. Write out what you think that you will spend in a year. Then add a 15% buffer for life's inevitable curveballs. Some of us happen to fall into the crystal meth habit. I know, it's rough. So then you're going to get a final number that is the cash requirements that your portfolio must cover, nothing more and nothing less. Step 2, you are going to choose. Step 2, you're going to choose your mix. Decide how much income needs to feel rock solid and how much can be turbocharged with Stride. Think of maybe a common split that is 60% Stretch for stability and 40% Stride for extra horsepower, although risk-tolerant investors may flip that ratio. Stretch smooths the monthly cash flow while Stride inflates your overall yield. And then step 3, you gotta think about your tax wrapper if you're gonna retire. Whenever possible, park these preferreds inside of a Roth IRA or a tax-advantaged account. Stride's dividend is qualified and taxed at lower rates, and Stretch's coupon is ordinary income. However, there is a caveat here. I am not a tax professional, so please consult your tax professional. But according to my research, Strategy will be announcing stretch dividends at least till the end of this year as ROC, which means return of capital, which means that you defer your taxes, which means that you don't have to pay them. And if they declare them as return of capital and you never sell stretch, you could go to the grave without ever paying taxes on your dividends. Yes, that's correct. That is according to my research. However, check with a tax professional, play with ChatGPT, play with Grok, look into it yourself. But to my understanding, that's what it is. Step 4, you're going to reinvest your surplus while you are still earning a salary out there. Let every dividend just go buy more preferreds, or if you want a dash of asymmetric upside, buy MSTR, buy Strike, buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice, financial entertainment, but this dividend snowball shortens the years to your goal dramatically if you can get some capital accumulation on top of that. Step 5 is to monitor your coverage. Each quarter, just check Strategy's Bitcoin and the overall asset coverage ratio. You want to know that you're protected. And of course, because we all know that Bitcoin is going up forever, Laura, you really don't have to worry about this, in my humble opinion. But from an unbiased perspective, if Bitcoin stacks are growing faster than preferred share issuance, your income is sitting on increasingly solid ground. Step 6, you're going to switch to drawdown. The moments that your portfolio value meets or exceeds your required multiple, you can stop reinvesting and redirect dividends straight to your bank account or trim small lots at par. That locks in a very reliable paycheck for you and signals your official exit from the wage cage of hell and misery. If you follow these 6 steps with discipline, the calendar pages melt away from your working career. The objective is very simple here, kids. Replace paycheck dependency with preferred powered cash flow, and then reclaim your time while you are still young enough to enjoy it. Let's stack the timelines side by side and see how much of your life each strategy demands. We start with a household that spends 80 grand a year, pockets 40 grand in savings, and yet, just to stay humble, assumes Bitcoin never rises another dollar. Let's say that wages grow 5% a year, portfolios grow according to the rules of each column. At the bottom is the familiar, the classic, the absolutely terrible 60-40 stock and bond portfolio. It creeps forward at a 5% real return and needs 21 years before the dividend clock covers the bills. That is 2 decades of status meetings, seasonal flu in the open office, and reheated leftovers in the break room. If you shift up one level to stretch, 100% into stretch, the monthly coupon rolls in, we reinvest every single penny, and the volatility stays very meek. The retirement pulls into view in 8 years. Same salary, same savings rate, 13 fewer calendar pages on the wall. And if you blend the deck, 50% stretch and 50% stride, it gives you a little more punch, but a little less cushion. The cash flow compounds harder, the principal wiggles more, but the clock strikes financial freedom in 6.5 years. That is the difference between your child entering kindergarten with you still working and entering middle school with you already home. If you go full throttle 100% stride, that turns every dollar into maximum coupon power. The math says that you hit the finish line in 5.5 years. That is an MBA worth of time shaved off of your career, except every case study comes from your own bank account. So the bottom line, remember that I said that your instrument mix with Strategy's Preferreds is just a speed dial. You can play with your own risk tolerance. But we all know that the classic 60-40 portfolio keeps you chained to the cubicle until your hairline negotiates its exit. Stretch alone frees you while your kids still think that you know about TikTok trends. The blended approach combines comfort and velocity, and the Stride rocket sled catapults you past the exit signs before the decade is out. Choose the lane that matches your sleep schedule and then grab the wheel. So we've talked about speed, now let's talk about guardrails, because even a Lamborghini needs brakes. Let's look at the interest rate reset on Stretch. Remember that management can tune the coupon. The yield can drift down, but it cannot fall off of a cliff, and skipped cash must be caught up before any downward tweak sticks. Number 2, there is the non-cumulative dividend on Stride. Stride is an income race car, but if the board ever waves off a dividend, that payment is gone forever. So remember my solution, keep a 3-month emergency fund so a one-off skip feels like turbulence and not a crash landing. And then when you look at liquidity, there is a decent amount of liquidity, but it is a river, not an ocean quite yet. Stride is very thinner still. Use limit orders, avoid market orders at 4 p.m. on a Friday, and you will get a fair execution. There is a redemption and call risk because both classes can be called. Stretch from day one, stride only on special triggers like a qualified equity offering. Remember the par value ceiling. If you're up a few points above 101, expect the company might ring the bell and hand your capital back to you. And number 5 is the asset coverage, which is the moat, the thing that I don't think anybody should be worried about because this is the best company in the world. It will be the most valuable company in the world. Sailor already won the game. In fact, I'm going to show you a video I made yesterday. If you don't follow me on X at AdamBLive, you probably should for my best content. This here is the ultimate power of Bitcoin on a balance sheet. On your left is Strategy's Bitcoin, then you have MetaPlanet, this little yellow bar here, and then Smarter Web, which is a little blue bar that will be more visible as the video goes on. I programmed the top 3 Bitcoin treasuries that I like at least, and then the Mag 7 cash balance sheets. This is Bitcoin appreciating at a very modest 25% CAGR, and the cash balances on the Mag 7 balance sheets depreciating at 6% per year, which is probably a bit too generous, but hey, let's see how this unfolds. As you can see, we are about 5 years in, and Strategy is blowing past the $300 billion mark. Year 15 and Strategy is at $2 trillion, and this is assuming that they never buy another Bitcoin. What you are watching right now is financial strength greatness. Nobody can stop this. I'll try to pause it at the end here. There you go. That is close to the end of the 30-year mark. That is the power of Bitcoin on a balance sheet, okay? Nobody will ever touch this company. They will be the most powerful company in the world. Remember in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, remember to come back to me and say, Adam, thank you for showing me the light. This is just math. This is not bias. And because I am a Bitcoiner who's talking about retirement, I do want to plug Firefish.io. Another retirement strategy could be, well, you deciding to collateralize your Bitcoin so you never have to sell it. You just saw the effects of the Bitcoin compound annual growth rate. What if I told you that you could be your own mini sailor and do that with your own personal life? Firefish is the open market for Bitcoin-backed loans. So instead of selling your Bitcoin, just use it as collateral, get a loan that gives you the liquidity while your Bitcoin is locked in escrow, let your Bitcoin appreciate, and then spend the thing that's depreciating so you can get rich. This is what the rich do. They collateralize their assets and they never sell the greatest asset. And you guys know me, I do not like to do a lot of ad reads ever. I literally do like a 10-second blurb for Horizon and then I love Firefish. I do not deal with the altcoin company nonsense. This is Bitcoin only. The people that run Firefish are Bitcoin maxis. They are MSTR maxis. They are trustworthy folks. This is the marketplace for Bitcoin-backed loans. So literally you decide to borrow, you request a loan, you can totally just figure out what details you want to do. You can type in however much you want to borrow. Say I want to borrow $15,000. I just put that in. I put in my preferred loan period. I'll put in my preferred interest rate at 9%, and it says that there's a high matching probability that I can take out a loan. I will pay the 9% interest and able to get more access to buy something that's appreciating at 25%. That spread makes sense to me, especially on the verge of a Bitcoin bull market potentially. I think that this could be a very exciting wealth building opportunity. If you're interested in collateralizing your Bitcoin to get access to funds, hey, what you could do is take the money to go buy Stride that's paying over 12%. Just saying it's an option, not financial advice, of course, but I do love that Firefish gives you the opportunity to conduct your own speculative attack against the fiat system. Let's land the plane, folks. We've seen the numbers, the timelines, the guardrails, and the playbook. If we strip it all down, one truth does remain. The stride and stretch shrink the traditional fire marathon into a brisk jog for anyone who believes in coin-backed balance sheets. Just think of stretch as your cash flow mattress, steady, low volatility, always hovering near par while feeding you monthly income in the high single digits or the low double digits. If you lay stride on top for the double-digit rocket fuel, the yield that slices capital requirements by more than 2/3, that's pretty rad. And then you keep your two dials in view, the tax efficiency and the asset coverage. Shelter those coupons in the right account and pay attention to the coverage. If you do that, you can walk out of the wage cage years before the 4% crowd even reaches the halfway water station, all while owning a claim on the hardest money humanity has ever discovered. The lesson is simple: early retirement is not a fantasy, it's a math problem. And these preferred instruments just change the variables in your favor. The path is a lot shorter than you might think. It's time to take it. But remember, this is not financial advice. This is financial entertainment. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Adam Livingston. I am the Bitcoin Wizard. I make daily Bitcoin insight videos every single day. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, help me spread the orange gospel to the masses. Don't party too hard. Class dismissed. Once again, a special thanks to Horizon for sponsoring this video. Most people don't realize this, but on average, 60% of American homeowners' net worth is locked up in their primary residence. And with home prices more inflated than ever, Americans now sit on a combined $35 trillion in home equity. Now there's a way to unlock that trapped capital and put it to work in Bitcoin. Horizon helps homeowners unlock a portion of their home equity to buy Bitcoin. It is not a loan, so there are no new monthly payments. You keep living in your home as usual, and then later when you sell, refinance, or choose to settle early, Horizon's provider takes an agreed share of your home's future value. That is the trade. Unlock cash now to stack Bitcoin by selling a slice of your home's future value while you continue living in it. What makes Horizon stand out is that there are no term limits and you keep 100% of the Bitcoin upside. The Bitcoin is fully yours to custody however you want, wherever you want, with no risk of forced liquidation. If you've been sitting on a pile of home equity and are eager to invest in Bitcoin, this may be the product for you. Visit joinhorizon.com to see if you qualify and get started. Their team of experts will work with you one-on-one from start to finish. Transform your dormant home equity into Bitcoin today with Horizon.